What's up, Sawmill fans? So today I'm working on the Mechmaxx again. Took the big sassafras log off here because I gave up on it. What I'm doing today is the belts on here got smoked. I made another video on this, and I'm not sure if I uploaded it or what happened, but I can't find it anywhere. But when I was checking on this machine, trying to figure out why these belts were so loose, first off, I don't have a tension gauge for belts. So what I did do is I came around here and was moving this, and upon first inspection, like, I could almost push it down here. The belts definitely got hot, smoked. I'm worried this clutch on this brand new machine does not work right. I'm gonna try to zoom in here so you can see the center of it. That was all silver and shiny in there. Now it's all burnt. So I don't know if the clutch is even any good. But when I went to tighten this belt, something you need to be cautious of with this Mechmaxx, because apparently there's zero quality control when these things are shipped out. If you come around here to the back side of this, so these nuts right here is what puts the tension on the belt by pulling the motor to the side after you loosen up the 4 mounting bolts for the motor itself. This particular machine, the nuts and washers were on the back side of this. So there's no way you could tighten the belt by using this. So when this was assembled, somebody slid this either by hand or some other means and tightened this up, because they definitely did not use these because the nuts were on the wrong side. So in order to get this adjusting bracket back to where it needed to be, I had to completely remove the mounting bolts from this side of the motor, and then I had to remove this crossbar so I could get this out of here in order to get the nut and bolt out from the back side of this, get everything in line or in place to where it needed to be, put that all back together and put that bar in. So now the motor's still loose, but what I'm doing right now is I'm putting tension on the belt, and then I'm going to put a log on the machine to see if it'll cut it. I did give up on that sassafras log because the thing is rock hard. It's rotted out in the middle, and I'm wasting blades trying to cut that thing. I don't believe I'm going to get any usable slabs out of it at all, other than I made sassafras trail here out of chunks that I was able to save off of it to stay out of the mud. And then when I just picked it up, all the guts just fell out of the log right here, so I got to get that cleaned up. So anyway, back to this. I do have pretty good tension on this belt now. I may put just a hair more on it, I don't know, but I'm going to try to cut a log and see if it will go through the log. I'm not sure what standard is, but the belt that's over here is pretty loose on this wheel, but I'm pretty sure it was pretty loose whenever I got it brand new. So I'm going to run it, see how it is. The blade that's on here is new. It does have some rust on it, but it hasn't been ran since I shut this thing down probably a week or better ago. But I need to get this thing running again because I have all these logs, and I've got a 2 trailer full of logs out front, plus a huge stack in the driveway. While I'm discussing the quality of the Mechmaxx machine, as you know from watching my videos, I've taken a lot of heat, or blame myself as being the new guy trying to figure out sawmilling, because I've never operated one of these machines before. So a lot of the stuff I always have comes back to, I believe it's user error, so I just correct it. It's something that's really starting to annoy me about this machine is the non-stop backfiring out of this motor every time you release the throttle. It is so damn annoying. And somebody told me to adjust the carburetor, but I'm gonna have to have somebody do that because I have no idea what I'm doing with that. And I've done some searching, and I have not been able to find anything on how to adjust the carburetor on this machine to stop the backfiring. Like I said, it's very loud, it's very annoying, and that's something that alone would probably prevent me from ever buying another one of these at this current time, just because of how bad it is backfire nonstop. The other thing that I've ran into now is the safety switch. So I can no longer hook this up because about a week ago it started surging whenever it was running. I took the carburetor apart. I thought maybe it needed cleaned out or something. I was checking the float to make sure the bowl was filling up correctly. Down here, there's a bowl and a float in there, so I was making sure everything was filling up correctly, and going through all the steps. And then, but every time you ran it, the motor would surge in and out, in and out, in and out. It wouldn't shut down; it would just surge. So after disconnecting the switch here, it ran just fine. So after other comments online, on YouTube and on Facebook, I was pretty sure it was this anyway, because like I said, when I unhook it, it runs. But everybody was mentioning moisture in here, and it really irks me that, Mechmaxx has this machine. It's made to be outdoors, and yet the safety switch is not waterproof. So I took this thing apart, and there definitely was condensation inside here. I got it all dried out as best I could. It still would not run right. Still cuts in and out in power. Wouldn't saw a log to save your life. So right now I've got it disconnected. I am going to hook it back up here in a little bit, because it has been almost a week, just to see if it's dried out more and that it's usable now. But like I said, that's kind of annoying. It's 2026 and they're selling a machine that sits outside and putting electronics on it that are not even sealed up to be waterproof. So those three things there, like I say, I mean, they're kind of annoying little things, but how with quality control do you let something go out like that where your adjusting bolts are not even on the right place to be able to tighten up the motor? But aside from that, I'm going to finish getting this tightened up, and yet again another storm is moving in. But I'm going to finish up here what I'm doing, try to get a log on here real quick and see whether or not this thing will cut some logs. Like I said, it already has a new blade on, and worst case scenario, I'm going to tear the thing apart again tomorrow and have to figure out where I could get some belts locally, because I'm not going to source belts from Mechmaxx for this. Going to try to buy them here locally just so I could hurry up and get the thing back up and running again, because I have so many logs to try to get cut up, and now everything's just piling up. So let me know your thoughts on this. Drop me something in the comments down below. But if you own one of these machines, have you found a lot of quality control issues with them shortly after buying them, or was yours all good to go? And I got that rare unicorn that likes to backfire and short out when it gets wet and have no way of adjusting the belts. Okay, so I got me a piece of cherry on the sawmill. I got the blade tightened up, the belts are tight. Let's fire this thing up and see what happens. Okay, so this is on record. I am hooking the kill switch back up, the safety kill switch. I want to see after a week of sitting over here if it's dried out enough now to operate. Like I said, when at the end of last week, when I took it apart and dried it out, put it back together, it was still surging in power and would not build up enough power to cut a log. So it's been about a week, so I've got it hooked up now. I'm going to see if it works. If it doesn't, I'm just going to disconnect it and continue on to see whether or not, with the belt tight, if it's going to cut on through this. I need to find out if the belts are just shot or if that clutch is already bad on this machine. Well, with that, we're going to wrap it up again today. Another one of these dang storms just moved in. This is becoming a daily thing around here anymore. But the sawmill does seem to be running again. What I just had to do was notch out a piece because I kind of got to pushing too fast and the blade did take a dive into the log. But it's no biggie because I cut that off. I'm going to come back and take this little slab off the top because remember, I mainly use these for signs, so it's 100% usable to me. This is some of the cherry, and that's some of the big walnut that we just finished up a week or so ago. I'm gonna get this covered up though. Y'all have a good day.